Ursuline, the preseason number 4 team in the Division 4 spectrum. What can we say about their schedule, what they're returning, and maybe some of the prospects for the Ursuline Irish?
Well, looking at the Ursuline Irish, we'll take a quick look at what they lost, because what they kept was a whole lot. But players that they lost on the offensive side: wide receiver Matt Reardon, wide receiver Terrell Dilworth, and then offensive lineman Anthony DeLuca. These are going to be some holes that they are going to miss. They were all very productive players last year for the Irish, but I don't think they're going to have much issue replacing them. Also on the defensive side, players lost was Ryan Pegas, defensive lineman, Dante Walker, linebacker, and Luke Campbell, defensive end. Again, these are guys that are going to be replaced because the way Ursuline really has set themselves up, they were very deep last year talent-wise. So they have young guys that are going to be able to step right in. Some of these young guys to watch and some of these guys that are going to be stepping into these positions offensively, I don't think you could go any further. And we could talk right off the bat about QB Brady Shannon. And he's going to be the reason why this Ursuline Fighting Irish offense is going to be so dynamic and so productive this year.
Brady Shannon made it into the Northeast Ohio top 25 recruits list. And you talked to how special that quarterback is, and the fact that he's currently committed to play for UCF for baseball just speaks about how well-rounded of an athlete he is.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal athlete. On top of that, you get senior and running back DeMarcus McElroy, which was a very dynamic runner too last year for the Irish. He's part of that 1-2 punch of Brady Shannon and DeMarcus McElroy out of the back. And I mean, all that paired with Brian Frasco and Colton Ross, 2 junior offensive linemen from Ursuline that are also going to have another year of eligibility, but are going to take a huge step up from last year, who already had productive years last year. This offensive line that's in front of Shannon and McElroy is going to be very good. Pair that also with Dean Boyd, senior wide receiver for the Irish, that's going to probably be Shannon's #1 target. This is an offense on the Fighting Irish that's looking to be very dynamic and very good all around.
An offense that was electric last year might get even more productive this year, which is a scary conundrum. And it's why they're ranked #1 in the preseason Division 4 polls. What are they getting back on defense? And what kind of things do you expect from them from the defensive line? I know their defensive line is going to be great, and I think they're returning quite a bit of defensive linemen. But like a lot of teams we talk about, maybe a couple of question marks in that secondary.
Yeah, maybe a couple of question marks in that secondary, but I'll tell you, some of the guys that they are returning that are going to be a force to watch. You're going to check out William Burney, defensive back junior for them, and Ja'Kylan Irving, senior defensive back for them. Those are 2 guys that are going to be in the backfield a lot, defensive backfield a lot, that are going to be hovering around. They're going to be the ones that are going to need to contain that pass game that a lot of teams, such as the Fitches of the world, utilized against Ursuline last year and was able to get a lot of offensive touchdowns against the Irish defense last year. So those 2 are going to be key to stopping the pass game. Also, John Edmonds, a linebacker senior on Ursuline, is very productive too. I mean, he's one that is he's a ball hawk too, but he's one of those that can play pass coverage and run coverage. Very, very good dynamic linebacker. And also you talk about that defensive line, Michael Branch, defensive tackle junior. He's one of those guys, lines up nose guard wise, man, and he bullies his way down low. And you highlighted that defensive line. It's already solid, but one of those guys, he's going to be the key force, I think, on the defensive line.
Ursuline lost in the playoffs last year, but we all kind of understand that because of some unfortunate things that had happened, they were without a lot of their key players in that playoff game. They got to be itching to get back on the field this year and prove to everyone and themselves that they were kind of worth that playoff run and it wasn't a fluke, and they're going to get back to what they wanted to get back to last year. I think this might be one of the programs looking with their eyes wide open at a state championship this year.
I think you're absolutely right, Anthony, and I think that sour taste that was left in the mouth of the Irish last year is really resonating with them going into this season, and they really feel like they have to do it that much more to prove to everybody else that they think they got snubbed last year with everything. And we know the situation, and COVID made everything wonky, but yeah, they definitely were not at full strength in that playoff game with guys that were missing in it. But looking at their schedule this year, this is not a very easy schedule. They did front load it a lot too. August 19th open up with Bishop Hartley. August 27th at Hickory. September 3rd at Chardon, September 10th at Fitch, September 17th at Warren Harding, September 24th they play at home versus Cheney, October 1st at St. Vincent St. Mary, October 8th versus Boardman, 16th at East, and then October 23rd is the Holy War at Cardinal Mooney High School. Well, not at Mineral Ridge, but at Cardinal Mooney, but at Mineral Ridge High School.
How about that? For the first time, the Holy War is going to have in like an official home team with two. Obviously they used to share Stambaugh, but now Mooney has their own home field that they're going to play at, and Ursuline's going to have to travel for that Mooney game.
And it's gonna be fun to see too. That Mineral Ridge Stadium was looking beautiful too, and I think it'll be gorgeous too, especially on a late October night for the Holy War. But looking at that schedule, Anthony, I mean there is some tough games in there for the Irish, but they did not go easy on themselves. They're gearing themselves up for a playoff run.
Week 1, right off the bat in Hartley. I mean Hartley's high in the preseason rankings as well. And that's not exactly going to be an easy task for Ursuline. And we're going to find out a lot about what they're made of week 1 right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a tough game right off the bat. Luckily, it's home, but then it starts a string of 4 straight away games that also include teams such as Fitch and Warren Harding that you have to play at and away for. That's going to be tough for the Irish, too. These are not easy away games at all.
No, they're not. And when you look at their schedule and the fact that they've never been a team that shies away from travel or have had teams shy away from travel to come to them, they're going to be well prepared for the trips that they will inevitably have to take if they make a deep playoff run. That's one of the things that Mike Pavlansky talked about last week when he was gearing up for the Canfield season. He wants his kids always used to being a long road trip, and Ursuline's going to be another team very used to traveling, and the long road trips of a deep playoff run not going to face this team.
No, and I mean, they did load their schedule up with a lot of good passing teams, too, to really test that secondary and that defensive secondary. And I mean, it's a good strategy going into the season. You got to make sure your guys are ready going into the postseason, and you're going to test them real well throughout the regular season with some very good opponents that you know are going to be a passing first offense.
Excited for the Irish and what they are going to bring to the table this year.